The advancement in AI sex dolls makes me very, very weary
Yeah.
for the future
Yep.
of the modern woman in America.
Yep, and nobody wants to say this, but this is only because society has made sex just about pleasure and not about family building and about a commitment between two people who have made a lifelong commitment to each other. When it was about family building and a commitment to two people building that connection between each other, it had more grounding. But now that it's just about pleasure, if a man can get that same pleasure from a doll, what's the point of being in a relationship with a woman who he has to serve? And then when you look at the interest of women now, on a list of 12 things that make people consider themselves to be successful, women ranked having a family as number 12. You have to understand that. So women don't want family. So then that just makes it all about pleasure. And if a man can just get pleasure from a doll, why would he need to cater to a woman when he could just get it from a doll?
Now, like, boomer men have checked out in the sense of, like, they've accepted their place as this kind of cucked out work mule, kind of mumbling idiot. Like, every man that's depicted in, like, every sitcom or movie most of the time is just like, oh, when's the game on? Oh, beer, you know? Like, it's just like you talk to the average boomer.
Well, that's because they had systems that worked. You didn't have to be so political because the government was working at that time. You could trust the government. You could trust the systems that were put into place so you could be more brain dead, and you could just go to work at a factory, put a nut on a boat, and actually be able to provide for a family. So you were allowed to be brain dead. Nowadays, everything with technology evolving so fast, everything, you don't even have a chance to live. Everything is switching all the time. Like, you look throughout history, the fastest way to travel for thousands of years was horse. Then you had the train, then you had the plane, then the car, then the plane, then the rocket ship, all these different things. Technology is moving things along so fast that now in the modern age, you don't have time to be grounded in anything that has sustainability. It's always something new. So you have to always be adapting. This is why me and one of my buddies was talking about it. We feel like time is moving faster than ever. And it seems like it's just like it's becoming a flash because you don't really have time or anything that's consistent in your life. Everything is always changing so much. There's always news that's being reported to you. There's so many different ways you can get that type of stuff that you have to always be thinking. You have to always be considering. And I think that that's what's driving people into being depressed and anxious. But I think with older men like that were boomers, especially because they had systems that worked, because they could work a consistent job for 60 years, put a nut on a boat and provide for a family, because they could afford a house, all these different things, you were allowed to turn your brain off a little bit. You had some level of grounding and consistency in your life that we just don't have today with the advancements of technology and the distrust in the systems that we built throughout the past.
And they just normalized abuse from their wives, and just, you know, all these phrases of like, oh, I'm at the doghouse, or like, oh, it's cheaper to keep her. And, you know, they'll tell you things like, that's just how marriage is. And like, my whole life growing up, like, all the couples that would come in and out of my parents' restaurant, and they would say to 10-year-old me, like, oh, Aunt, when you grow up, don't ever get married. But like, it's true. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they're saying that as a joke, but it's like, it's true. Their lives are so fucking miserable. And like, what Gen Z men are doing is seeing that, and they're saying, fuck that. I'm not doing that. We're out. Because at least the boomer man got to have a job, a single income, afford 2 cars and a house in the suburbs.
Right.
You got something out of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got something. You know, your wife cooked you some meals, cleaned the house, you know, these types of things.
And that was the contract that young men had with society. It was that if you work hard and you be productive and you trade your freedom for responsibility by taking on the burden of a family and going to work every day, you could potentially own your home. You could have a livable wage. If you were willing to go fight and die in war on behalf of the country, you at least have a plot of land you could call your own, and your wife couldn't just divorce you and take half all your stuff just because she's not happy. But now, because that contract has been broken, young men have no incentive to be good. Young men have no reason as of now to invest into society that no longer values the soul of a man. That's just the truth of the matter currently.
You got a little something out, right? So that's why.
So they're giving up on it.
Boomer men have just accepted their place in this kind of cucked out role they've fallen into, because you got something with it. You know what I'm saying? Gen Z men are getting nothing out of it. You see this proliferation of just blatant anti-man themes and rhetoric and branding. I love all the pop girls. I do. I love Chapel. Dude, I literally skated onto Chapel Roan's music video 2.5 months ago, where she fucking laid in that fountain with her whole head in it. God bless her. I hope she didn't get fucking herpes from that.
Yeah, you don't have to justify yourself. Pointing out misandry doesn't mean you hate women. Any rational person will understand that. We have to stop having to qualify for retards in society that try to equate basic information and basic observation to you hating women or some other group of people just because you're observing, especially a hatred that women definitely have for men, even in pop culture. It's just blatant at this point. He's right.
I love all the pop girls. I have nothing against it. I don't give a shit. I'm coming from a place where I've dissociated. I've checked the fuck out. And I'm just kind of in observer mode.
Yeah.
And what I observe is like, yeah. The average boomer man got to enjoy a world where there was always like feminist types of things, but it wasn't just everywhere out in the daylight. It wasn't just blatant man hate like it's become today. So it's like Gen Z men see this, they're like, fuck this. Like what there's nothing to even gain. There's all this rhetoric, I don't cook, I don't clean. And this has come from me. I don't even want kids. I don't even see myself being married. And I think more and more men are heading that way. I'm not saying I'm just gonna fuck a doll, but my point being is that you give a man like a fucking ball and a stick, they can like entertain themselves for hours.
Yeah.
Women don't work like this. You give two boys, right? You give two, even adult men, right? You give two adult men a fucking rubber ball, they'll find a way to entertain themselves for hours. You give two girls a fucking rubber ball, they might just like flick it, be like, oh, Tracy, I don't know, I want to go home, I'm tired. Like, we're just wired so differently.
I'll say this though, I've seen two women talk about absolutely nothing for hours. They have the ability, ladies, women, they have the ability to talk to each other about absolutely nothing for hours. And it's crazy how they could just not know each other at all and then sit down and then talk about absolutely nothing but like personal experiences and just, you know, maybe even a little bit of drama, sprinkle in some drama and pop culture in there, and they could just talk for hours. Like for guys, I could do that, but I need a guy that's interesting. I'll maybe be able to do that a little bit about sports and other topics, but if a guy's interesting, I could do that. I could have that conversation. But there are just some guys that are just not good. They don't really have good conversation, and that's fine. That's where the ball would come into play. But I do have to say, I have seen women be able to sit down and entertain themselves for hours just by talking about essentially nothing.
and it's like what I've observed is like, my God, women don't actually realize how much they do depend more on men for intimacy than men do for women.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. 100%.
So it's like you hand a man a fuck doll that can do all these elaborate fucking things. Oh my God. Like, most men would be okay with that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
like an
I
AI
agree.
with like the consciousness of like ChatGPT and beyond that can like do things and like fuck you. Like, forget it. It's over for the modern woman. Once that technology gets that advanced to that point, it's fucking over. Like, Gen Z men are either marrying foreigner women who like cook and clean and do all these like, you know, traditional role type of things, or they're gonna fuck an AI doll. Literally. Women don't buy fuck dolls. Men do.
Yeah, it's because they get a little bit of pleasure by having men do things for them. Women are powerful. They're so powerful, in fact, that they can have things done on their behalf while not even moving a finger. And it's because they have power over the apex predator in nature, and that is men. The only issue is eventually men are going to start saying, there's no need for us to do things on these types of women's behalf if these types of women don't value family. Men like to do things for women who are respectful and virtuous. If women choose to not be virtuous and hate men, eventually men will stop allowing themselves to be used by women. And if this sort of technology comes into play, that's going to happen a lot quicker. Women resent the fact that they have control over men through sex, but it's what actually gives them power. And I don't think that they understand that. But yeah, what he's saying is absolutely true here. If this technology does come into play, there's going to be a lot of men. Now, me personally, because I want to build a family, I want, obviously, a real woman. There's going to be that fraction of men still. But because for most men, family is completely off the table because women don't even value it anymore, they're just going to settle for the doll. I think that that's true. And once that happens, women are not going to have as much power in society as they do now because men, they won't be able to leverage sex over men. And I don't think women understand how truly powerful that is for them.
Women would not be satisfied with a fuck doll. Look how unsatisfied and how much they hate human men. You think they're going to be satisfied with a fucking fuck doll? What I'm saying is, like, women lead because they are the gatekeepers of sexuality. They lead with intimacy first. I need to have the psychic, emotional connection with you before I open the gate to be physical with you.
And to continue what I was saying a little bit there about how women like even just think of it like this. If a woman has $1 million, she still wants a man that has more money than her because she wants to use the man's money. So even if she's able to do it by herself, most women would prefer a man do it for them because they get a sense of power and a sense of superiority and connection. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like how they, it's just like a woman being a woman. They want to be able to have men do things for them. That's how they see themselves as powerful. So even a woman who has the resources to do things by herself still wants a man that has more than her to do the things that she wants to do for her on her behalf. That's what I'm saying. So just broaden that out to society, and that's pretty much how women get leverage over men. They have the leverage of reproduction. And once they just choose to not be reproductive anymore, well, then men are just going to go, oh, well, what's the point of doing things for you now? And
men are the opposite. Men lead most of the time with the physical aspect. That's why the repulsion factor for when a woman cheats versus a man cheating is completely different. Like, if you think about the archetype of the woman who falls in love with, like, the ambitious go-getter man, right? And they make it big, and they make it big together. And they're, now they're rich. And then now it's like she justifies cheating on him because he works too much. And it's like, again,
I just think that it's funny that that's what every single female romance movie is about. Just some woman, some regular basic woman got two strong, one dude that loves her, one dude that's super powerful, and then they're just fighting over this pretty much mid woman. That's like romance by the female perspective. Like the guy's version of that is man work hard, man kill bad demon dragon, and man get pretty girl. The female version is like woman in confused relationship, has horrible boyfriend, cheats on horrible boyfriend with different guy, justifies it because boyfriend was horrible. It's just like, it's always like something to do with cheating in these romance movies and stuff.
I think a woman like that is going to be satisfied with just a fuck doll. That's what I'm saying. It's like we're not playing the same game here.
Right.
Men are totally fine living in an apartment with just a mattress and a TV and a fucking chair and a PlayStation. Like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's like men starting to have the technology of an AI robot they can fuck and talk to and can do tasks for them. Like, it's over. It's fucking over.
Yeah, and women are absolutely going to hate that. They're going to try their best to shame it, but men just aren't going to care anymore. Have you ever seen a woman in a relationship whose boyfriend plays video games? Now imagine you have a doll who fulfills his sexual needs if he's in a marriage and his wife doesn't want to fulfill those needs. Now I don't think that it's a good thing for him to look in other places to get his sexual needs fulfilled, but I also don't think it's a good thing for a woman to commit to a monogamous relationship with a man and then try to use sex as leverage to make him run on a treadmill either. So I don't think both of those things or either of those things are right. But just to think about how women respond to a man just playing Call of Duty for too long, let alone having an actual robot in the house or a doll in the house that strokes his ego. And I don't even think the tech has to be crazy advanced. It doesn't even have to be the one that might happen in 10 or 15 years where it's walking around and saying these things. I think you put literally Chat GPT in a robot that's a little bit more responsive and you give it a hole, and a lot of dudes are gonna start checking out, and you make it affordable, and a lot of dudes are gonna start checking out. I think a lot of dudes have already started checking out. So we're seeing already in society men have stopped wanting to do certain things on behalf of society and women because they're getting a raw deal.
And that makes me like really, it's like really sad because like that is the truth. That is just like the grim fucking truth for so many of like just Zoomer men that have like dissociated, that see this society, that see this type of rhetoric and just see like, fuck this. Like, I can't afford anything that my dad was able to afford. And I also have to deal with like all this like man hate and like all these rhetorics and all these ideas that float around and that are so like just anti-men. I have to put up with all of that and be broke and get nothing out of it.
Right.
And like, I'm not going to come home after paying bills to like some sort of meal, some sort of peace in the house. And it's like, you see all these fucking cucked out, like, I don't trust anyone who makes family content. And you see all these guys that are like, your wife is your partner, not your mom. Your wife is your partner, not your... It's like,
so
fuck
gay.
that. Like, that's a fucking horror movie in real life. And, that's just unfortunately what I observe happening. That's the trend happening. And it's like, I don't know. So men obviously seek psychic connection, emotional connection too. I'm saying this as somebody, it's funny because I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, I feel, where it's like, I'm kind of worse than a woman in terms of needing a psychic connection, needing an emotional connection before I fuck somebody. Having a chronic illness and going through a lot of medical trauma will do that to you. See, like, men don't really access their emotions and psychic ability until they've been fucking traumatized. So this is me speaking from the other side, where most men, and I'm just saying like as a man, because I'm still a man,
most men understand their emotions. They control their emotions. They just understand their emotions don't matter because the world, when it comes to men, we have a heavy burden of performance, and the world only cares about results. A man standing on the side of the road crying isn't going to get help. A woman standing on the side of the road crying is going to get help. So women understand that they can use their emotions as tools and leverage because there's always a man that's willing to come and solve their problems. Men don't have that luxury. So just because men don't outwardly express their emotions doesn't mean they don't understand their emotions. We just have to learn to compartmentalize our emotions and express them through other ways, and usually that's productivity. So basically, if you get cheated on by your girlfriend, you can either sit in the shower listening to Drake and cry, or you can harness that energy and maybe even resentment that you feel and go to the gym and improve yourself. You have two different options. The guy who does the second thing, he compartmentalizes his emotions, he channels it into passion, and then goes and expresses it in the gym through motion and, through some sort of physicality or expression of art. He's going to be the one that's better off. And I think that that's the better way for men to express emotions, not just sitting around crying or, just feeling them or whatever people say you should do.
What I observe and what's the truth is like, yeah, most men really don't care all that much for that. And you give them a piece of technology that can satisfy what they do care about.
Yep.
Fuck that. It's over.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future is.
Say what you want, but the guy is right. Whoever comes out with this technology first is going to be a trillionaire. I personally don't like it because I think that there's a bigger issue, and that is a disconnection between men and women, and I don't think that this is necessarily going to help that disconnection, but at the end of the day, when it does come out, I'm just reporting what I see. When it does come out, there's going to be plenty of men that sign up, especially if it's affordable. Let me know in the comments below if this video is a W or L, and give me the HBO special. That's up without special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.